Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you on how to solve a system of linear equations by graphing. But before we continue, I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel, like the content, share the link with your friends, and also send your comments. Thank you very much. Now let's continue. So as we continue, you can see that we have three kinds of graphs over here. The first one, you can see that the lines intersect at one point. This type of graph has just one solution. As you can see, there is an intersection at this point. So we have an intersection at this point. So it means that this graph has just one solution. And if you look at the second graph, you have two lines that are parallel to each other. There is no point of intersection. So what this means is that there is no solution in this case. And the final one, you can see that you have just one line. It means that both equations give the same lines. So in this case, there are infinitely many solutions. Please take note of these three kinds of graph. Now let's go into the graphing properly. All right, so we have a question that is 2x plus y equals 7 and x minus 2y is equal 6. Before we continue with this question, we have to change each of the equation to the slope-intercept form. You know, the slope-intercept form has a formula which is y is equal mx plus b, where m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept. So we are going to change each of these equations to the slope-intercept form. And to do that, let's label the first one as equation 1 and the second as equation 2. So let's now make equation 1 in slope-intercept form. So you know we have 2x plus y is equal 7. So it has to take this shape that we have here. So let's subtract 2x from both sides so that we can isolate the y. So minus 2x minus 2x. Automatically, 2x minus 2x will cancel out. And now we are left with y equal negative 2x plus 7. So m in this equation is equal negative 2 and b is equal 7. So we have the y-intercept to be 7 and the slope to be negative 2. In other words, the slope is equal negative 2 over 1. All right. So we have both the y and the change in y over change in x. So when you have just a whole number, all you have to do is to make it over 1. All right. So that is the slope, negative 2 over 1. Now, let's also make the second equation the slope intercept form. So we have x minus 2y equal 6. And the first thing we're going to do is to subtract x from both sides. Subtract x from both sides. And x minus x, we cancel out. So now we have just negative 2y on the left side, and that is equal negative x plus 6. So at this point, we are going to divide each term by the coefficient of y, because you can see that the coefficient of y is negative 2. So we are going to divide each term by negative 2. So now, let's go on with that. So divide this by negative 2, and then this by negative 2, and 6 by negative 2. So now, negative 2 is going to cancel out negative 2 from here. And negative, we cancel out negative from here. And negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. And 6 divided by negative 2 will give us negative 3. So now the equation is going to take this form, which is y equal 1/2 x negative 3. So we have been able to change the two equations to the y-intercept form. So this is the first one over here, and this is the second one over here. So let's identify the slope in this second equation. The slope m is equal 1/2, and b, which is a y-intercept, is negative 3. So once you have done this, the next step is to go on with graphing. So alright, so now you remember that in equation 1, the slope we found was negative 2/1, and the y-intercept is 7. So now we're going to start with equation 1. And since the y-intercept is 7, we have to come over here and count 7. So this is the origin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the y-intercept, 7. Let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. So that is the y-intercept. So from the y-intercept, we can now go back to the slope. The slope, we have negative 2/1. So the numerator is negative 2. So when it is negative, then from the y-intercept, you count downward along the y-axis. But when it is positive, you count upward along the y-axis. So since we have negative 2 here, we are going to count 2 steps downward, and then the denominator, you count along the x-axis. Now, the denominator is positive, so we are going to count to the right. When it is positive, we count to the right. And when it is negative, we count to the left along the x-axis. So now, for the numerator, we have negative 2. So let's count 2 steps downward. So from the y-intercept here, we count 2 steps. 1, 2, and then 1 step to the right. So this is a point here. So from that point, count 2 steps downward. 1, 2, 1 step to the right. Okay. 1, 2, 1 step to the right. So you keep doing that. From this point, 1, 2, one step to the right. 1, 2, one step to the right. 1, 2, one step to the right. Good. So in the same way, you can also count 2 steps up and 1 step to the left. So from the y-intercept, we can count 2 steps upward and 1 step to the right, to the left. So 1, 2, then 1 step. So you can see that all the points are in order. All right. So at this point, we are going to connect the lines. Okay. So let's try and connect them with a straight line. Okay. So now we have the last point here. So we can connect it. Just take it up like this. And then good. So this is the graph of the first equation. Okay. So next is to try and draw the graph of the second equation. The second equation. So we have the second equation. The y-intercept is -3. So from the origin, you count 3 steps downward. So 1, 2, 3. So this point here is -3 along the y-axis. So now the slope, after that, you come over and check the slope. The slope is 1/2. You have 1 as the numerator and 2 as the denominator. So from the y-intercept, both the numerator and denominator are positive. So it means that we are going to count 1 step up and 2 steps to the right. 1 step up, 2 steps to the right. So 1 and then 2 steps to the right, 1, 2. So click on this. 1 step up means the numerator, which is 1, and 2 steps to the right means the denominator, which is 2. All right, so from this point again, let's count 1 step up and then 2 steps to the right. So it's at this point here. It's at this point. Good. From that point, 1 step up, 2 steps to the right. 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 All right, we can also come over here. 1 step down, 2 steps to the left. 1 step down, 2 steps to the left. So now we can connect the points. All right, so from this last point here, let's take a straight line down to this point. Good. So now, their point of intersection is the solution, and you can see that point here. All right, so it means that the solution to this equation is at this point, and that is, you count along the x-axis 1, 2, 3, 4. So that will be 4, comma, and then from the y-axis, you can see that is at this point here. So this is -1. So we have -1. So from this point, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this is 1. So the solution is x is equals to 4 and y is equal -1. X is equal 4 and y is equal -1. So that is it for this question. I hope it is clear to you. All right, let's quickly take another question. All right, so we have question number 2, which is 3x plus y equal -1 and 2x plus y equal 0. Remember, we have to change each of the equation to the slope-intercept form. So let's label this as equation 1 and this as equation 2. So now, remember that the slope-intercept form is given as y equal mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So now, let's take the first equation, which is 3x plus y equal -1. So at this point, we are going to subtract 3x from both sides to isolate y. Subtract 3x from both sides. So now when you do that, then 3x will be cancelled out, and now you are left with just y on the left side, and that is equal -3x minus 1. So now the slope, which is m, is equal -3. Remember I said when it is a whole number, you have to write it over 1. Okay, so it's -3 over 1. yb, which is the y-intercept, is -1. So that is it for this equation. Let's also change the second equation to the y-intercept form. So that's going to give us, we have 2x plus y equal 0. So now let's subtract 2x from both sides. 2x from both sides, -2x, and 2x minus 2x is going to cancel out, and now we have y is equal -2x, and then plus 0, which means that it starts from the origin 0. So it means that the slope m is equal -2, and that is -2 over 1, while the y-intercept, which is b, is equal 0, the origin. Okay, so we have this information already. Yes, this is the slope-intercept form. I hope you are already familiar with how to change an equation to the slope-intercept form. All right, so once you have done this, then you can proceed with the graphing. All right, so let's move on to that. All right, so we have the slope of equation 1 to be -3 over 1, and the y-intercept is -1. So let's start with that. So the y-intercept is -1, and then you come over to the y-axis, and then this is -1, is at this point, So now let's go back to the slope. The slope is -3 over 1. It means that we can count 3 steps down along the y-axis and then 1 step to the right. So from the y-intercept, which is -1, count 3 steps downward and then 1 step to your right. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1 step to my right. And then okay, so we can also count 3 steps up and then 1 step to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 1 step to my left. 1, 2, 3, 1 step to my left. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have enough points. These points are enough to plot the graph. So now, so from here we can take a straight line and then just ensure you are on the same, points. So this is the graph of equation 1. All right, so we are through with that. So now let's proceed with equation 2. So equation 2, the y-intercept is 0, which is at the origin, is at this point. So, and the slope is -2/1. So it means that we can count 2 steps downward along the y-axis and then 1 step to the right. So let's do that from the origin. So let's count 1, 2, and 1 step to the right. Okay, so 1, 2, 1 step to the right. Good. We can also count 2 steps up and 1 step to the left. So 1, 2, and 1 step to the left. So it's at this point. And then from here, you count 2 steps up, 1, 2, and 1 step to the left. 1, 2, and 1 step to the left. All right, so we have enough points to plot the graph. So now let's get a straight line. Okay, so from here, so you just take a straight line. Good. So we have plotted the graph of equation 1 and equation 2. Now, the solution to this question is at this point. Is at that point, and that is x is at -1, which is, you trace it down. This is -1, and this is 2. So it means that the solution is -2, -1 rather, -1, not -2. -1 and 2. In other words, x is equal -1 and y is equal to. So that is the answer to this question. I hope it makes some sense. All right. So now let's take another example. All right. So example 3, we have y is equals 1/2 x minus 3 and x minus 2y equal 4. So let's label this as equation 1 and this as equation 2. If you look at equation 1 very well, you discover that it's already in the slope-intercept form. So equation 1 is already in the slope-intercept form, which can be written as y is equal 1/2 x minus 3, and the slope m is equal 1/2, and b, which is the y-intercept, is -3. So this is equation 1 in y-intercept form. All right, let's now convert equation 2 to y-intercept form. So we have x minus 2y is equals to 4. So now let's subtract x from both sides. Minus x. So x minus s will cancel out. And now we have -2y is equal -x plus 4. So now let's divide each term by -2 because we have the coefficient of y is -2. So now we need to divide each term by that, by the coefficient of y. So now divide each term by -2, -2, -2. So this will cancel out. Negative is going to cancel out negative, and -2 divided by -2 is 1, and 4 divided by -2 is -2. Therefore, y is equal 1/2 x negative 2. So now we also have the second equation in the y-intercept form, and the slope m is equal 1/2, and the y-intercept b is equal negative 2. So now let's go on with the graphing. All right, so we have equation 1. The slope is equal 1/2, and the y-intercept is equal negative 3. So now along the y-axis, from the origin, count 3 steps down. 1, 2, 3. So this is the y-intercept, and the slope is 1/2. So 1/2. So the numerator is 1. So and that is positive. So we are going to count 1 step up, and then the denominator is 2 and is also positive. So we are going to count 2 steps along the x-axis to the right, 2 steps to the right along the x-axis. So from this point, we count 1 step up and 2 steps to the right. 1 step up, 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 2 steps to the right. We can also come back to the y-intercept and count 1 step down and 2 steps to the left. 1 step down, 2 steps to the left. Good. So we can plot this graph with these points. So now let's take a straight line. So now from this point, can connect all the points down, ensure they are connected. All right, so that is the graph of equation 1. Also, let's also do that of equation 2. The y-intercept is negative 2. So from the origin, this is the origin. So 2 steps down, 1, 2. So this is the negative 2. So now we also have the slope to be 1/2. So we're going to count 1 step up, 2 steps to the left. So from this point, count 1 step up, 2 steps to the left. 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 We can also count from here 1 step down, 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the left. 1 step down, 2 steps to the left. All right, so the first counting was 1 step up, 2 steps to the right, not 1 step up, 2 steps to the left. 1 step up, 2 steps to the right. 1 step up, 2 steps to the right. 1 step up, 2 steps to the right. And that gave us all of the points that you have up here. So now we have all of these points. Let's get a straight line to connect them. Okay, so let's connect all the points. All right. So now in this graph, you can see that the 2 lines are parallel. There is no point of intersection between these 2 points. Therefore, in this question, there is no solution. There is no solution because the lines did not intersect at any point. I hope it is clear to you. All right. Let's take the final question. All right, so we have y is equal to x minus 3 and negative 6x plus 3y equal negative 9. As you can see, the first equation is already in slope-intercept form. So we have y is equal to x minus 3. And the slope is equal to over 1. The y-intercept is negative 3. So that is it for this question. Okay, so this is the first equation, equation 1, and equation 2. So equation 1 is already in slope-intercept form. But in equation 2, we have to change that to slope-intercept form. Negative 6x plus 3y is equal negative 9. So first we need to, because we have negative 6x, we need to add 6x to both sides. So plus 6x. So when we do that, negative 6x plus 6x will cancel out, and we have just 3y on the left side, and that is equal negative plus 6x rather, plus 6x. So we have 6x minus 9. So the coefficient of y is negative 3. So we are going to divide each term by negative 3. Once the coefficient of y is greater than 1, it must be positive 1, otherwise you divide by the coefficient. So now we are going to divide by 3 each term, divide each term by 3, divide each term by 3. So this 3 is going to cancel out this 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 divided by 3 is 1, 9 divided by 3 is 3. So now y is now equal to x minus 3. So this is the slope-intercept form of this equation, and the slope m is equal to over 1. The y-intercept b is equal negative 3. So if you look carefully, you discover that the slope and the y-intercept of equation 1 is exactly what we have in equation 2. So now let's try and plot this graph and see how it's going to look like. Okay, so we have both the slope and the y-intercept for both equations. This is equation 1, this is equation 2. So the y-intercept is the same for both of them. So it means that from the origin, we are going to count 3 steps downward. 1, 2, 3. So it means that we are plotting both of them at the same time. We have negative 3 and negative 3. Equation 1 has the y-intercept to be negative 3, and equation 2 has the y-intercept to be negative 3. So we are plotting both of them at the same time. Now, what about the slope? The slope is equal to over 1, and the slope of equation 2 is equal to 2 over 1. So we are going to count 2 steps up and 1 step to the right. So 2 steps up, 1 step to the right. So we are plotting the 2 graphs at the same time. 2 steps up, 1 step to the right. 2 steps up, 1 step to the right. 2 steps up, 1 step to the right. Okay, we can also count 2 steps down and 1 step to the left. Okay, so now we can connect all of these points with a straight line. So let's get a straight line. So now from here, we can connect all of the points. Let's connect the points. All right, so this is now the graph of this equation. So both of them are in the same line. So it means that in this question, we have infinitely many solutions. So that is it for this question. A question where the 2 lines are on the same point. The solution is always infinitely many solutions. So that is it for this tutorial. Please, if you find this video helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like the video, send your comment, and also share my link with your friends. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye-bye.